I'm Keanu, and this is my informative speech. This is my audience. Great audience, great participation. Okay, so for my informative speech, I decided to do it on deception detection. If you've ever wondered if someone's lying to you, they actually come in 4 different forms. You can decide if someone's lying to you based on their tone, their facial expressions, their diction, or their speech, and also their body heat. Tone is just basically a fluctuation of the way they speak. Facial expressions actually go in a variety of things. They can go from 1/10 of a second all the way to 1/25 of a second. Your diction is just the words that you use. Some people, when they lie, they actually use formal language. Instead of saying, I didn't have sexual relations with that woman, they say, I did not. Just so you can actually, it shows some assertiveness in what they're saying, so it makes you believe it. And then body heat's actually a new one that they've discovered. You can't actually tell this one from just basic of the way, like when you're talking in person to the naked eye. It's a new one that you'd have to use technology, but it also is one on there. So we have 7 basic emotions that we use. They're technically like limitless emotions that you could feel or expressions that you could show, but they all boil down to these 7 basic ones: contempt, disgust, surprise, fear, sadness, happiness, and anger. Some of these seem similar. For instance, like contempt, disgust, and anger, you might think are the same thing. Disgust is more of when you think something's gross. Anger is more just an outrage. Contempt is actually the worst one. It's when you're like, it's like what's found in like mass murderers and serial killers and stuff. So there's a bunch of pictures of all of them. They're pretty easy to see. Some unique things to know about these ones, like happiness and contempt, for instance. Happiness, you can fake a smile using just your mouth. The way to tell if someone's actually smiling for real or not is in their eyes. If you're having a real smile, a genuine smile, your eyes will scrunch up on the sides right here. So if you've ever been like walking past someone and they're just like, they give you that fake smile, they can just fake it with their mouth, they can't fake it with their eyes. And then contempt is actually one of the cooler ones, I guess, because in all of these expressions, your face is symmetrical in the way you express things. In contempt, it's the only expression you'll ever do that's only asymmetrical, meaning that like half of your mouth is going to do one thing and the other half will do another. And if you can see it on this picture of former President Bush, it's his lips curling at the end. So it's kind of a unique thing about it, which makes it kind of cool. Some fun facts actually about lying. We lie about 10 to 200 times a day, depending on like our social interaction. Men lie more than women. Can't explain that one, so I don't know. Extroverts lie more than introverts. That's just based on your personality and also the amount of social interactions you're going to be doing. And then you lie to strangers 3 times as much, and the reason why is because they have no basics to decide on if what is true or not. So that's kind of a cool thing. Lying. The myths about liars is that they fidget. Liars don't fidget. The reason why is because their entire body is trying to focus on the lie. They just want to make sure that you're believing them. Liars darting their eyes is also kind of a big myth because it goes back to the same concept. Especially if you're building a lie as you go, you want to see if that person's believing if you're lying or not. So you will focus your eyes on their expressions and their reactions to your lies so that you can base your next lie off of it. And then liars not blinking, them staring. That's also not a true statement. Liars actually blink a lot and they go by a much faster rate when they're lying. Just because your neurons are not firing in the right thing, so your eyes just start to twitch on them. Some real life applications for this. There's a lady called Pamela Meyer. She's the founder and CEO of Calibrate, which is a company that kind of actually just basically helps out in the way of which they're using this type of science in interrogation fields. Another one, such as the FBI, they use this thing. One of the techniques they use is when they interrogate, they make you tell a lot, or they make you tell your story, and they actually then make you tell it backwards. And the reason why is because when you tell a lie, it's just rehearsed. There's no actual basics for it. So you can say a lie, but to tell it back chronologically is extremely hard because it's just a rehearsed thing. It's not something. So it's kind of a cool technique that I didn't know about. And then the other one is, I don't know, is your significant other cheating on you? That's the only one I could think of because like that would be a real life application. So, and then more funner facts for you is this is the one I was talking about, is the body heat. Something cool to notice is like happiness. You're actually warm and fuzzy all around. That's not just a thing they say. That's a real thing. And then if you look at the opposite, depression, it's an absence of it, which is kind of a cool thing. And then I was going to show you the difference in contempt and like anger, for instance. If you were thinking those were synonyms, they're not. Contempt is all up in the head with your body heat, and anger is more so torso up. And the reason I understand this is because it's psychological, and if you're wondering, that's also why like serial killers, for instance, have contempt. They don't have anger. It's because it's a psychological thing, and your brain is just constantly working towards it. So if you ever have a body heat map, and that's what it looks like, have fun. So that is it for me, and that's the truth.
Woo!
Cool, eh?
Good job.
Oh, because
Everybody's still here.